It's one of the most searched neighborhoods in Littleton, but lots of buyers still get Ken Caryl totally wrong. Let's get you off on the right foot. Hey everyone, it is Alyson Wall, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. Some buyers think Ken Caryl is all luxury, high price point, too far out of their league. Others say these homes are dated, little too much work, I don't want to touch it. But here's the reality, Ken Caryl is 3 micro markets, each with their own price point, their trade-offs, pluses. And once you have the lay of the land and you understand what is in front of you, it all makes sense, comes into clarity, and I think you could find an amazing property. And if you think I'm just making up the hype, Ken Caryl was just named one of 50 to 80's very best places to live, best neighborhood in all of the Denver metro area. Number 1 was Littleton. Well, Ken Caryl's right inside Littleton. And Ken Caryl itself was named number 3. So how did it earn this high ranking? Let's dive right in. It is all about vibe. Ken Caryl will probably knock your socks off just by photos, pictures, everything you see online. But in reality, when you're there, is where it really just kind of overwhelms you with a totally different feel than nearly any other place in the metro area. The community is nestled against protected red rock formations and an abundant amount of open space. Wildlife is part of daily life. Elk, deer, fox, turkey, of course, squirrels, the small things. There's so much to see. More than 25 miles of private resident-only trails. This is the only neighborhood I know of that has in-neighborhood camping spots. Yep, they have so much open space, so much land to be used by its residents. They created a little niche where you can just pick up a tent, go take the kids. You can do it yourself if you want, but most families are going to take the kids out for close to home camping right in the neighborhood. There's an equestrian center, community gardens. With all of this land, it's important to know it's a fire-wise community. There are 3 pools, including one that is right up against beautiful red rock formations. There is a clubhouse, fitness center, parks, trails, tennis courts, including a tennis court right up near some beautiful red rock formations. What makes buyers crave living here and the homeowners stay for decades is this connection to nature, this ability to get home and slow down and feel an amazing amount of separation from the craziness around you, particularly in one of the niches within Ken Caryl, which is Ken Caryl Valley. It really does feel like you are in this tucked away little private safe space away from the world, and yet you drive 5 minutes, 2 minutes outside the neighborhood. It's going to take you 5 minutes to get out sometimes, but you drive 2 minutes up the road and you have grocery store, Starbucks, everything you really need is pretty close. And a couple exits either direction, you have everything else you need. A Home Depot, a Costco, a Sam's, a Target. It really all is so close. But yet when you are behind your wall, you drive through your foothill and Red Rock Formation Canyon and get back in the valley, you feel like you are just tucked away from everything. And that is part of why people think, oh my gosh, I could never afford to be in Ken Caryl, because this is the premium niche. But that connection to nature, that privacy, that quiet, and then the community really comes around because this is a little bit of a enclave, a little safe space. There are horse-drawn carriage rides, cocoa events, pictures with Santa, 4th of July parades, Easter egg hunts, all sorts of things dotted throughout the year. And they have a newsletter so that your teen can kind of connect in the community and have jobs. We've got babysitting pages and nannies and kids that want to mow lawns and pull weeds. There's all sorts of stuff that kind of keep all the ages interconnected, hobbies and groups and book clubs, wine clubs, you name it. So for those that just want to take in all the scenery with their family, you have that option, complete privacy, A-OK. For those who want to include the community, who want that corner lot that's nearly an acre and want to put the cornhole out front and invite the neighbors over, want to be the stomping ground for all the neighborhood kids, the trampoline in the back, you can do that too. So I gave a little hint of one of the 3 pockets inside Ken Caryl when I mentioned the valley and just how beautiful it is in there. Let's get a full lay of the land. Ken Caryl really is one big HOA. It is one big neighborhood. Everybody has access to the amazing amenities. It doesn't really matter where you live. If you're paying into that metro district, you have access to every fantastic component of Ken Caryl. Ken Caryl is in Littleton. Littleton feeds into lots of different school districts. This area feeds into the Jeffco School District, so you'll want to check that out. Look at the schools. The families are very happy with what they have over here, but you want to know, where are the elementary schools we're going to feed into? Which is the high school? Do I like it? If I don't and I want private school, how far are we driving? Now that we know that everyone is part of the same HOA, going into the same school funnel, how do we break down these different zones? First, the valley. That is that private area. You are really tucking in through the foothills and the red rock formations and into this just deep, sweet bubble that backs up to open space. This is a little bit more premier area. This is where the more expensive homes are, but not every home is expensive. This is where you're going to find homes that push 2 million, 3 million. If there's a lot of acreage, which there's a couple of homes like that, we can see quite a bit more on the price scale. The crux of the amenities are in the valley: the equestrian center, the fitness center, lots of the private trails, campground, the community garden. The Plains section sits on the other side of C470. You can call it the east side, you can call it the north side. It is opposite the valley. It is more suburban. It feels a little more like the neighborhoods that surround it. It still has nice mature trees. There's a beautiful park in that central area. You'll see less open space. Homes are generally more affordable over here. Life can feel a little bit more convenient sometimes because you're not having to come in and out of the valley to get to things. And then our third tinier pocket for sure is the new construction area. Toll Brothers, Lennar, there's going to be some apartments, some for rent area over here. All of this is but right up against the 470 area. There are a couple different styles coming in. Lennar is going to do some townhomes. We're doing some single family. We've got smaller stuff with toll, bigger stuff with toll. So quite a range and price range. Certainly the higher end stuff with toll, meaning larger, is pushing over $1 million already. It's going to get more and more. They're not a large selection of lots available, so this is dense what they're doing, but it is available and it's going to feel newer even when resale stuff comes to market. All right, we're going to dive in a little deeper on statistics, price points, all the good stuff, and let you look at some beautiful footage of each of these different sub areas. In Ken Caryl Valley, the median price point is $1.3 million right now. That is up 72% from 2019. The median home price then was $755,000. Median age in this Ken Caryl Valley section is running about 1989 of a year build. The median lot size, just shy of a quarter acre. We're at about 0.24-ish. So decent size lots in this Ken Caryl Valley section. The average home size running a nice size at 4,300 total square feet. Common features over here. I mean, if I were to search for you and use these filters, there would be plenty of homes. We're talking more than 50% are going to have 4+ bedrooms, 3-car garages or more. Walkout basements are really common, and even remodeled interiors. There are abundant open space options over on this side. There's just a lot of trail space. You're looking out the front or out the back or along green belts. So a lot more open space over here, which elevates the price point because it enhances your privacy, it enhances your view corridor. There are so many components that are why the price point is higher over in the valley section. We also see a lot more single family home in the valley section than we will in the others. Not everything, there are some townhome options, some other choices, but it's almost all single family home over here. Now, when we go over to the Plains section, we're gonna see a difference in price point, a lot of differences between these two areas. So for the median price point in Ken Caryl Plains, we're looking at $715,000 right now. I mean, when we were talking about the valley, it was 1.3 million. We're at 715 in Ken Caryl Plains. That is up 55% from 5 years ago. It was only 460,000 then. The median build year, 1980. So we're seeing a difference of almost a decade in build year time. Average home size, 2,900 square feet. The other one, remember, it was 4,300 square feet. Median lot size, not bad. We're at 0.2 acres. And over in the valley, we were at a median of about 0.24. So we are still getting really good lot sizes over here in Ken Caryl Plains, just a little smaller. We see mostly 2-car garages on this side. About 25% of these homes are split level. So it kind of tells you that era, right? When you have a median age in the 80s, it takes you right back to when they thought splitting all of these floor plans was really cool. If they get remodeled well, they can be very, very nice, but it does take a good vision and someone who's worked with them to kind of bring fresh life to those split level floor plans. There is much less green belt and open space area over here. There is some, you're not doing without, but in terms of elevating the home value, having space to get away from neighbors, you have a lot less option over here for that. And you'll find more condo and townhome options in this section. In fact, there are condos that, they feel like an apartment building kind of thing that you can buy over in this Plains section. Still very reasonable value as well. So there's a lot more diversity in home style, living style, property style on the Plains side for Ken Caryl. So since I brought up that there's a decent amount of condos over here, I did want you to know that the data is only looking at the single family side. All right, let's talk on the new build stuff, the Toll, the Lennar. Pricing changes very quickly with builders. Right now, our market is pretty flat. They are not increasing prices month over month over month as we typically see in a more fast-paced market. We're seeing a lot of incentives. So this is a nice time to have a good pulse on a baseline. They did increase from when they first opened. Of course, they've been open a while. Each community has sold about 20 homes. So what Lennar has sold, Toll in their smaller collection, Toll in their bigger collection. So everybody's sold at about the same pace. But we aren't seeing the prices increase at what we saw maybe coming, definitely not in COVID, and then even coming out of that before the market shifted. We will see it again, who knows when, but it's a little bit more stagnant and flat for them right now. Now, today, right now, prices for the Lennar homes are running about $750,000 to $1 million. Toll is starting at the upper 700s to the low millions right now, but that's just for base price. If you have watched any of my other Toll videos or just have heard me talk about building with these builders that let you make selections still, figure a minimum of 6 figures to go on top of that. So we are seeing at least 1.1 million generally for the spec homes in that larger collection. So that is generally about 6 figures above where they're coming in from their base price. It's easy to do more if you like to do a lot of things, but you're certainly going to be at about 6 figures over that. The Toll lots have a wide variety in their sizing. We're seeing anywhere from about the 5,800-ish square foot range, which I consider small. You are not going to end up with a lot to work with in the front or the back, and they can range up to 10,000 square feet for that smaller collection. That would be a nice size lot. In the larger collection, we're seeing anywhere from about 7,000 square feet to 12,000 square feet. A 7,000 square foot lot is still not bad, actually, even though the home is bigger. That footprint is not massively larger on that base level, so you still have a decent sized yard. When you get into that 12,000 square foot size, maybe a little larger on a corner or angled lot, that is a good amount of yard to work with if you're wanting some privacy, something to put, for dogs, kids, etc. I think you know this, but it's gonna be worth saying, the larger the lot, the bigger the premium. Even if it's a spec home, they'll have built it in. You're gonna pay for the land that they had to pay for, and they know that getting space is a premium, especially here when we're looking at new construction in Ken Caryl, where we're looking at median lot sizes of 0.2 to almost 0.25 for the whole community. So when they're offering up lots as small as 5,800 square feet, and you could get one on a larger home that's 12,000, 13,000 square feet, you're gonna pay for that space. So just know it, expect it. With the builders selling 60 plus homes between them so far and only coming live not that many months ago. I was there on launch weekend with some clients speccing out a home with Toll, and Lennar hadn't come online yet. So those clients are now closing this week on their new build home with a different builder because they liked the price point better somewhere else. But I know the arc of time that we're in for how long these builders have been available. So we are, pushing, I'll just say if we, round up, we're at 70 homes sold in 9-10 months. So the pace of sale is very strong, considering that we had a very slow back quarter of 2024 in all of the market. And that speaks to the drive, the desire, the craveability of Ken Caryl. And that's true whether it's existing or new. We see that whether it's new construction or the growth we've seen over 5 years in the valley side, the plain side. I mean, we're talking 55%, 70+% over 5 years. And the pace of sale, this might interest you, it's actually 10 days faster to sell a home in the plains side. I attribute that to price. So when we're looking at days on market between these two markets of resale, a home sells a little bit faster when you're on the plains side. And when we're looking at a home that is $715,000 versus 1.3, that might explain why. Now, selfishly, I could go on and on and on about all the things I love about Ken Caryl, because honestly, I want to go and be in Ken Caryl more to talk about it to you more. I love it over there. But I never pull the wool over your eyes. I always tell you the downside to every neighborhood, and every neighborhood has something. So for Ken Caryl, one of the big things is so much expansive soil as we get closer to the foothills. And this area, particularly some of these older homes that didn't have the great construction science that we see in newer homes today, we will see a lot of flex in sidewalks, porches, the slab at the foundation. Now, foundation here and slab are separate. So it doesn't mean the whole house is structurally unsound. It just means that, if the basement wasn't finished and then the floor moved, you may have a lot of work to do to be able to come in and finish that basement. There are times where the foundation has had some shifting, moving. The soils could have compressed in on it. Maybe the drainage wasn't handled well. A good inspection reveals these things. Our inspectors here know to look for this, and they especially know to look for it in certain areas and pockets of town where expansive soil is common, with this area of town being one of them. So that's one thing to look for. Next, road noise in the new build areas. Guys, C470 is a massive highway through the Denver metro area, and the builders are building homes just right up against it. So you really have to be someone who kind of enjoys a bit of an urban feel, doesn't mind heavy white noise hum, but in trade-off, you're gonna get some beautiful views if your home has a corridor where you really get some nice foothill views out those windows. But it has to work for you, because I don't want, please, I've had so many clients doing this since the back end of COVID. I do not want you getting into a new construction home and then turning around and selling it in 2 years. You're competing against the builder, the market may not be working in your favor, and too many people right now are upside down. There are people, even in the existing market, who are short selling, people who aren't making any money, having to bring money to the table. You really need to look at a home as a minimum 3-year investment. 5 on the short end would be best, and then anything beyond that, you're typically making gravy. New construction is especially important to think that way, because if the builder has not completed construction, you're competing against them, competing against the ability to make what you want, for incentives, for the fact that no one's ever lived in the home, for not having to clean the carpets, change the carpets. The builder might tweak something in the layout and design. We have certainly seen that. And then someone doesn't want what you have because the builder improved something they found, or upgraded a design package element, upgraded the kitchen stuff. You do not want to compete. All right, sorry, my soapbox. I'm just seeing too much of that in this market where people are not making the money they expected they would, even though it's a conversation I have all the time. So for the new builds, you're going to have smaller lots, fewer trees. I think this is expected. But as I talk about the trees and the mature trees and the gardens and the nature being a big part of Ken Caryl, that's not going to be an element you have in the new construction side of things. Access to the amenity varies. I don't mean your allowance to the amenities varies, but proximity, how easy it is to get there, your interest in getting there. If you're on the plains side and you've got to drive 7 minutes through your neighborhood and then another 4 to get into the valley, how often are you really going to drive over to that clubhouse, right? But yet you're paying into that metro district. So you're contributing to the support of all the amenities, but are you really going to use them that often? You might really love the access to the private trail component, but all the other different pieces, parts, parcels is something that's really important to you. So based on your location, how much are you going to use different parts of the amenities just because of how long you're going to drive to get there? Commute times. Ken Caryl is Southwest Denver. So if you commute into downtown Denver, you are fighting a lot of traffic. You're in the farthest corner this way. It would be like being up toward Boulder-ish and commuting into Denver, you're fighting all the way into town. So you have to really factor in how often do I have to go. If you don't have to go that often, you're only going to the tech center, you work remote, or you work toward the west side of town, you work toward Golden, you work toward Lakewood, you're going to commute to Boulder a couple times a month, then it may be premium. The other thing is if this is all about nature, if your whole lifestyle is built around getting to the mountains, getting to the reservoir, getting to trails, mountain biking, then this is premium because there is so much nature within a 3-mile radius of you, and you're shaving off so much time getting back home from the mountains, getting into them too, but I don't know, that doesn't seem as bad. It's when you're tired and you want to get home and you don't have the extra 30 to 45 minutes that everyone who's going to Castle Rock Park or the far side of Highlands Ranch does. You will just drop right off of 70 and be home about 10 minutes later. You'll have Chatfield Reservoir 10 minutes away. The dog can play in the reservoir. You can paddle on the reservoir. You can boat on the reservoir. So your access there is also really tight and really good. With the build years being 1980s, right? 1980, 1989, these are definitely older homes. So some of the architecture you probably are just gonna have to work with. You have to like it. And there are certainly gonna be homes that haven't been touched and need to be updated. 100%. Wallpaper borders, wallpaper with the small dots and small fleur-de-lis and weird colors, things that you will absolutely want to take care of and is not a style that is current or trending today. And then there will be homes that have already been done and are fantastic. You can walk in, move in, drop your stuff, easy button, and not have to think about it twice. And there is going to be a lot of homes that are probably somewhere in between. The thing every buyer seems to enjoy are the views. Unless you are in a lot that happens to be a little tightly packed in, oh my goodness, the amount of views you can have from a back deck, a window, the porch, the patio, the front yard really is something out here. And that takes me to the next con, which can be a higher price point, higher price per square foot. You're paying a premium to be on the west side of town. You're paying a premium particularly to be in Ken Caryl Valley, to have all that open space, to have all those trails, to have the proximity to the amenities, to have the lifestyle where you have trails around your corner, out your, cul-de-sac end, to have so much in terms of lifestyle, wildlife, nature, red rocks. It is something you pay for. It would be possible to find a home for $1.3 million in Parker, in Castle Rock, in Centennial, in Aurora that would be new, that would be something you wouldn't have to touch for 10 years, but the feel would be completely different. Ken Caryl's community rhythm is something that's hard to replicate, and it draws people in and it kind of doesn't let them go. So if you love privacy, trails, land, the valley is your spot. You want it all with some value and to feel a little more proximity to neighbors, then the Plains should be the space you check out first. And if you want all of this, but you absolutely 100% are set on new construction, then you've got your bubble over here. Thank goodness it only opened up in the last year. If you'd like to chat more about Ken Caryl, other communities that give off a similar vibe, there are some that do exist, please reach out. I would love to connect. And I will see y'all next week.